pada seluruh aspek kehidupan. Namun di tengah tantangan selalu ada secercah harapan. Aktivitas terus berjalan memutar roda perekonomian. Dalam keadaan ini, seluruh dunia perlu bergerak bersama, mencapai pemulihan bersama. Ini pula yang berusaha dilakukan oleh G20. Forum G20 terdiri atas negara-negara terbesar di dunia. Bersama, G20 membentuk lebih dari 60% populasi bumi, 75% perdagangan global, dan 80% PDB dunia. Tujuan G20 adalah untuk mewujudkan pertumbuhan global yang kuat, berkelanjutan, seimbang, dan inklusif. Tiap tahunnya, presidensi G20 dipegang oleh salah satu negara anggota yang memiliki andil dalam menentukan topik pembahasan forum. Dan pada 2022, presidensi G20 dijabat oleh Indonesia. Dengan keadaan dunia yang masih terdampak pandemi, presidensi ini merupakan pengakuan atas kekuatan dan ketahanan ekonomi Indonesia. Kesempatan ini merupakan momentum berharga yang hanya dapat terjadi sekali setiap generasi. Untuk itu, presidensi G20 2022 harus dimanfaatkan sebaik mungkin. Dari penyusunan agenda pembahasan yang dapat mendukung pemulihan dunia sekaligus memberi manfaat bagi Indonesia, penyelenggaraan kegiatan yang menampilkan kualitas unggul Indonesia di tingkat internasional, hingga promosi Indonesia untuk meningkatkan perdagangan, pariwisata, dan investasi dalam negeri. Kontribusi semua pihak sangat penting, mulai penyusunan materi, penyiapan sarana prasarana, hingga komunikasi. Dukungan masyarakat pun sangat berarti untuk meningkatkan citra Indonesia di dunia internasional. Mari manfaatkan momentum presidensi G20 Indonesia 2022 untuk beri kebaikan bagi bangsa. Indonesia, saatnya pimpin pemulihan dunia.
The internet era poses a great challenge. Digital payment methods are on the rise, spurred on by the digitalization of identity, but they bring with them a wealth of potential dangers, such as fraud and breach of trust.
Hongdun FinScore system analyze a range of variables to produce a risk profile for loan applicants. This profile expresses the applicant's integrity, an intangible asset with a numerical value.
Hongdun does not compete with its clients. We focus on intelligent risk management and decision analyzing tools. We want to be an independent organization that empowers our customers to succeed through technology. Success is accomplishment for your own sake. Greatness is accomplishment for the sake of others. We strive to be an outstanding organization, a global enterprise, and a driver of success. We want to stand alongside our customers and protect them.
Tongduan also uses credit score modeling to help financial institutions manage risk.
Ih, fleksibel itu ya? Kredivo. Hidup Anda macet? Stres menghadapi masa depan? Investasi aset kripto solusinya. Ayo gabung dengan 6 juta lebih orang Indonesia yang berinvestasi aset kripto. Hidup anti macet dengan toko kripto. Banyak pilihan aset kriptonya. Makin cuan dengan fee paling murah. Tradingnya aman karena terdaftar di Bapepti. Mudah. Segera download aplikasi toko kripto. 1 TKO untuk 1 Indonesia. Scan di sini untuk trading. Gratis kripto.
Thank you, Tanya. And yes, Credito is a very important customer and partner of Tongdun. My name is Jack Kumar, and I'm the co-founder of Tongdun Technology. We founded the company in 2013. Back then, we say that we have five technologies, saying that hey, how do we use big data analysis to change the world, to make the society better. We don't even think about how much money we're going to make and so on. We just go and run at it. All of us had very good job, quit at the same time and create a company called Tongdun. And now with about 1,400 people across the regions in multiple countries, we've grown to a unicorn, and we have grown in many countries. We started to expand internationally, outside of China in 2018, and actually Indonesia is our first stop. Our thought is the first-hand experience that we gained in China, which is the world's largest emerging market, how do we bring those experience to other emerging markets that can help them quickly gone through? So we have then go to Asia, Africa, and Latin America and serve over 20 countries right now. But yet, I think our largest market outside of China is Indonesia. So, I think we're going to talk a lot more about in depth about credit scoring, but I just want to quickly tell you a little bit more about Tongdun, because most people know Tongdun about our credit scoring business. We actually have three main line of business. The first one is the credit technology, which we provide credit scoring and also related technologies to our customers. And then the second one is our security and anti-fraud technology. The third one is our data technology. So the first one, we're going to zoom into it more, but in Indonesia, for example, we use our credit scoring technology to help a lot of organizations such as multi-finance, banks, P2P, all these big names, including definitely Credito, BRI, Bank Mandiri, BJB Bank, and Pegadaian, and a lot of others large ones around there. And so both different sectors. And as people are exploring different customer segments and how they react to different type of credit products, we have a lot of work to do. And I'm pretty happy to say after start entering the market in 2018, and now we have a lot of very good results out of our scores and so on. All in all, in Tongdun, we have close to anywhere between 6 to 8 million pieces of applications running through our system every day, lending loan applications. So it's a lot of evaluations, and we do that every day. And the one thing to remember about what we do is really we do it as a third-party independent company. So we don't do finance ourselves. We are totally third-party independent, helping other people to evaluate. I think that's very important for a lot of our customers because we don't compete with our customer. So the second area of our technology is our security and anti-fraud technology. Again, it uses our big data analytics technology and AI technology. Mainly doing cross-border e-commerce and payment companies, we help them to address the fraud attacks. There's a lot of fraudsters attacking on cross-border online business. So some of the business security problem, or some of the people have counterfeit problem on content and so on. So we help better compliances in transaction and reduce the loss that fraudster can actually introduce. For example, Singapore-based Shopee, which also operates in Indonesia, it's one of our largest customer across the region in this fraud tech business as well. And the third area is what we call data technology. We actually help large organizations, conglomerates to go through digital transformations to help them really transform. And a lot of these companies have both finance, retail, real estate, and so on. And we actually go to the whole group and consolidate and do digital transformations. I think a lot of companies in Asia needs it. For example, Cinemas Group, we work closely with them, to do their part of the transformations. So that's the third part of our business. So all in all, I would say this is a very exciting time, from a technology perspective. I still remember when I first started to do business in Indonesia over 10 years ago, the network speed is really slow, and then the operational efficiency is very difficult at that time. And then in less than 10 years, I think it is one of the most highest potential countries in ASEAN right now, and we're having a lot of fun here, contributing to the market, and hope to do more in the future. Yeah, that's pretty much Tongden.
Thank you so much, Jackal. I have to say, I wrote down so many notes because there are so many things that I want to be like, hey, let me ask you about this. Let me ask you about that. And we're going to be having, I think we can have a really interesting conversation, certainly about not just the credit tech side, but I think actually some of the work that you guys are doing in anti-fraud is fascinating, and will be something we can discuss more at length. So now I'd like to bring in our colleagues that are
would love to. Great to be here. I mean, it brings a lot of sense of normalcy.
now we see you. Brilliant.
Yeah, brings a lot of normalcy to be here in front of you guys. Thanks for having me.
There seems to be a delay. We're not hearing anything, at least on our end.
I think it's a good practice for the G20.
Nothing for us on the recording. I can see that you're very happy though over there, which is great. Maybe we can get some assistance from the organizer.
Sorry, I think the internet connection is not.
It might be.
Or maybe while we're waiting for them to come in to become audible. Yeah, we can't hear them at all, team. I'm going to assume Cleo and Kai, you guys can hear us, right? Maybe if you can just give us a wave.
Okay, so they can hear us.
So they can hear us, but we can't hear them. I'm just messaging the organizer now to see if maybe they can come in and help us. All right, so gentlemen, maybe while they're resolving that, I'm going to just go back to Jacqueline and Mong, so that we can continue. And then just the moment that the live stage becomes audible again, we'll come straight back to you. So Mong, Jackal, you guys are clearly, you work together as a partnership. And certainly in the last, during COVID, we've seen, we've observed, those partnerships growing and growing, not, from financial technology platform with financial technology platform, but also certainly fintech with incumbents as well. What's your experience been like working, with different downstream partners? How has that? Oh, I think we might have gotten a bit of noise from the team.
Hi, Tanya, can you hear me now?
There we go. Okay, so we'll come back to this question. Cleo, let me allow for you to begin. So Cleo, if you can tell us a little bit about Passaropolis, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, no, I think thanks so much for having me. My name is Cleo. I'm the founder, CEO of Passaropolis. And I think really the focus about why we started this is because that we see insurance as an industry is behind, right? I mean, when I see Toko Crypto beside me, when I see Credivo is doing so well, Tongdem, I think insurance as an industry is behind in this part of the world specifically. And there is a lot of, I guess maybe the archetype of a customer whereby, you have rising middle class. And this part of the consumers, when they want to buy insurance, they got confused with the number of different selection. They got confused about who to buy it from, how to claim, and the whole claim experience is messy. It is also very much, I guess, very slow, and the claim is a lot of manual claims are there. And that's why the penetration of insurance in Indonesia is one of the lowest at about 2%. And I think that really we see so much, as an industry that's behind, the process is far from perfect. And I think that's why, how do we use technology to make insurance that are very simple, that are frictionless in a way that you can claim very frictionless. How do we build instant claim? How do we build a brand that is associated with delight for insurance? There is a lot of topics that I would like to actually share about. Some of them, things that we are working very closely with AFTEC, right? In terms of creating regulatory improvements, in terms of how digital insurance, comparing that to other countries. Yesterday, our Minister of Finance, Ibu Sri Mulyani, talked about that now as Indonesia is chairing G20, we need to make sure that we are up against the best, UK, Singapore, China, and many countries. And I think that when we take a look at that, how insurance is simplified there is so much potential. And I think that really is the very essence what Pasar Polis is trying to do. How do we make insurance that are simple? How do we really go through the value chain of insurance and create processes that are 10 times better? Not just a little bit better, but how do we create processes in insurance that are significantly better? And I think there is a lot of area that would love to talk about. So that's number one that we see in terms of what Pasar Polis is doing, is that how do we really build insurance products that are really relevant to customers, right? Creating products that are just right for the consumers. And then how do we put that to be embedded into customers' day-to-day moment? Because people in Indonesia don't dream about buying insurance. They dream about living their life. They dream about buying the next gadget. They dream about going and buying food on GoFood and many other things like that. But then throughout their dream, how can we create the right insurance product that are relevant to them? And that's what Pasar Polis has been doing. So where we come to the customers and create products that are relevant, that are just right. And second is that also what we create differentiation is about how do we really build the whole claim and customer experience? Because claim is very important. Sometimes people buy insurance in microsecond, like they just check the tick box in all of our partners' platform, where we partner with over 40 large partners, like I guess Gojek, Shopee, Tokopedia, and many, many more. But I think that really it's about also the consumer protection. And I think one thing that we see is that what Pasar Polis wants to do is beyond consumer protection, how do we create consumer wow, where claims are much faster? And that's, I think, one area that would love to really, and that's why I think during AFTEC, even yesterday and whatnot, we have many dialogues with the, regulators, and in terms of creating the right regulatory sandbox, in terms of creating product innovation and claim innovation. Those are the two areas, right? And a little bit about Pasar Polis itself. Currently, we partner with about 40 plus tier one partners, 30 plus also many of the leading ecosystems in each of their categories. We've seen insurance to be picked up. InsurTech is really blossoming. Our number year on year grows about 5 times in terms of our gross written premium. Number of policies, we have crossed 1 billion policies so far, right? And about over 1 million policies a day that we have issued. So I think that the market is there, right? But then how do we create product innovation continuously with the regulator? We have over 100 plus products that we have launched so far as well. We have about 10,000 Mitra that are registered in our platform, and also about things around health insurance. We have 30,000 plus people that have joined and pay monthly in terms of health insurance. And really creating a delightful claims is something that we also focus on. How do we create instant claims, right? And 80% of our claims are done in seconds, in less than 80 seconds, right? So we see that actually there is a lot of potential to do instant claims in this part of the world. And so far, Pasar Polis also has addressed more than 24 million Indonesian inclusively. So I guess over 10% of the population. And 90% of which are first-time insurance buyers, right? And 40% of whom are also people that work in informal sector. So over 1 billion policies. I guess just to put into perspective, that's also like probably over 10 times than other insurance companies. And I think there is so much potential that digital can do. So I'm really ecstatic to be talking about past, present, and future, because I think that insurance as an industry is behind. How can we work together? And I think it's not about Pasar Polis, but it's about the organization like AFTEC that really go and have a multi-level dialogue with the regulator in terms of creating innovations, in terms of creating a better insurance and consumer experience for millions and millions of Indonesians, and even beyond. How can we be that sort of front runner of the innovation in the region? Indonesia can do that. We've seen many innovation in banking, many innovation in even in crypto, and many other technology has changed the industry. And I think that insurance will see a sustained amount of disruption in this part of the world where consumers can actually benefit from a much delightful insurance, both product innovations and claims. So I think that's a little bit about Pasar Polis. Thank you.
Thank you, Cleo. I think my favorite comments of everything was the delightful claims process. And certainly when we get into our conversation, I'd love to talk a little bit more about the honing in on that customer and creating that customer at the core of your impetus. And certainly around that speed, because that is definitely. I actually am going through a claims process right now with my insurance provider, who is not an insurtech, and it is making me think very seriously about moving over to an insurtech in the future. So without further ado, and certainly last but definitely not least, I'd like. The work that you were doing, and also before we begin this conversation, you were telling us a little bit about some of the different regulatory changes and issues that are in your space. It'd be great to hear a little bit more about that too.
Thank you, Tanya, and thanks to Cleo for actually bringing up crypto. My name is Kai. I'm currently the CEO for Togo Crypto. So Togo Crypto, we are a crypto asset exchange that is the first to be regulated by Bapepti, which is the Commodities and Derivatives regulators in Indonesia. And I think it's interesting to note that, Tanya, within the entire studies that we've done, crypto asset wasn't actually one of the interesting things that was brought up. I would like to bring up a few points. Right now, there are, according to the Ministry of Trade, around 9.7 million active traders that are involved, or active investors that are involved in crypto asset trading. And from some of the conversations that I have spoken with, or people that I've spoken with, it seems like there's close to 30% penetration of crypto asset wallets, of people who have crypto asset wallets within Indonesia. And that's the percentage is actually second to Philippines, right? And that kind of ties in very closely with an interesting point for Indonesia as well, whereby there's around 66% of the population is unbanked, while crypto assets having been around for a much shorter period of time compared to traditional financial services, actually did manage to amass a larger penetration compared to traditional financial services. And that is also in comparison with the amount of traders that are actually on the trading stocks in Indonesia. So for us at Togo Crypto, we have identified that Indonesia has great potential to actually amass the benefits that comes out of, I wouldn't say crypto assets, but looking into so I come actually I guess we're kind of like the elephant in the room, whereby we're bringing about an entirely new technology, which is the underlying fundamental technology is blockchain technology, as Cleo also mentioned. I believe this technology has a lot that can help existing financial services to improve the existing way of transacting between people. Now, in terms of regulatory perspective, I think, it's not about the uncertainties that I believe in Indonesia, we have collaborated very closely together with Bapepti in formulating the very first regulations. In fact, I think it's one of the world's first regulations to be released in the year 2019. And Togo Crypto, we were very, collaborated very closely together with regulators, and we did manage to become the very first crypto asset exchange to be regulated in Indonesia. I must say that the regulators in Indonesia, definitely Bapepti, has been very supportive of this new industry, and we are looking at closer collaborations, expansion beyond Bapepti to the other ministries within Indonesia. Take for example, just last Friday, we attended a ministerial summit also in Bali, together with the coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment, and we had very fruitful discussions discussing about how potentially we could work together with the likes of BEI, the likes of Ministry, of potentially creating a special economic zone purely to trial out blockchain technologies to see whether the benefits of it truly is realizable, and of course within a predefined sandbox environment that things can be tweaked on and improved, so that we can trial and improve the way the technology is implemented. I thought that was a very it's very positive thinking from the ministry to actually have such a ministerial summit. It was definitely very positive for the industry players, and I do look forward to collaborating even more closely together with AFTEC, together with the industrial players, Credivo, Tonglun, as well as Pasar Police, in order to see how the technology can be used, blockchain technology can be used to innovate and also create new products potentially that could benefit us all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kai. And you bring up some really brilliant topics because certainly what will be very interesting for us to talk about is, yes, definitely, how does that underlying blockchain technology kind of influence different industries? What are some of the adjacent industries that you're working on? You touched upon that a little, and I'm definitely going to ask you a few questions there. But I think one of the things I really wanted to touch in on was this, 66% of the population's unbanked, and yet you've been able to amass huge penetration, of these individuals. I think this has been the theme, and actually I'd like to bring everybody into this conversation because we'll talk a little bit about our
Okay, shall I go first?
Yes, let's do that.
So I guess, I mean, even for us at Togo Crypto, right? I must say, it's a blockchain crypto asset industry is a very very new industry, and definitely, we do agree, and it has since day one been a very strong fundamental for Togo Crypto to focus on education. We have created multiple programs and initiatives. We have created a Togo Scholars program whereby we go out and we essentially give free education in terms of blockchain, crypto assets to people. Because one of the things that we have identified is that as of late, there has been many case studies of hacks that has happened, of scams that has happened, and I believe it also it's a problem that plagues traditional financial industries as well. And this is something that we identified to be something key and crucial in sustaining the growth and adoption of crypto assets and blockchain technology, not only in Indonesia but around the world. We are also working very closely together with the regulators, and likewise, they have been very supportive and positive. One of the examples that we are currently working on is Campus Merdeka, which is from the Ministry of Education, that's led under Pak Nadim. So I think this is a very interesting, and I think it's a very optimistic outlook whereby the focus on education is now becoming more of an importance, and we feel that this move and this initiative will allow us to reach out to a larger audience and hence increase the amount of education and awareness in this space, because blockchain technology is definitely an very interesting technology that's full of potential. However, falling under the wrong hands, of course, there will be negative consequences, there will be negative impacts. It's still a very new industry, and it has to work very closely with the regulators. That's from me.
So it really sounds like these partnerships are going to be a crucial component to safeguarding. Can we maybe I'm going to just maybe go in the order, but backwards. So maybe we can go to Cleo next.
Sure. I think that education, and I'll answer it a bit differently, that I think that insurance education is there. People understand the needs of buying insurance, though that, why I say that is because like when we launch, for example, insurance for drivers of ride hailing, initially we thought when we first chatted at that time with Nadim and all, I think that basically we thought that, well, maybe 2% of Indonesian would buy it, and actually ended up it is over 200,000 of drivers sign up. And that shows that insurance education in Indonesia is there. We had to create products that are fairly different because it has to meet with the consumer lifestyle, right? Because people focuses about living their dream. They don't think about buying insurance top of mind. So therefore, how do we create products that are really relevant to the consumers? For example, the case of Gojek driver, there is Pak Joko there, and basically he, during the time he delivered food for us, he lost his motorcycle. And that is devastating because it is his source of income. And in order for that to buy again, to buy another motorcycle, he has to fork a lot of money, right? And luckily for him, his motorcycle is covered by Pasar Polis, and he can get back to his feet very fast. What we think the problem with education in Indonesia are two things. One, I'll speak about the challenges because I think that it's not just about the education, but in terms of insurance, number one is that the ability to create products that are really relevant for consumers. Right now, to create a product takes about 6 to 9 months, and that prevents education. Because in order for education, it needs to make sure that we can embed products that are really relevant for consumers, whether it is crack screen insurance, whether it is insurance for, insuring their pen, insuring their bikes, insuring their bicycles. So there are so much potential, but then how do we create the right regulatory framework that are competitive with global environment so that people can see insurance that are invisible, that are like air, where it is really relevant to their day-to-day life. It's not just about buying term insurance or life insurance, but it is about the micro moments of people's life. How can we create insurance that covers from the time people wake up until they go back to sleep? When they order their breakfast at 7 a.m. on GoFood, how can that be protected, right? And we continue to build great partnership. We have partnership with many of, even like with Credivo, Pak Umang, and many others. But really, how do we come to consumers' life and create products that are really integrated into their life? I think that's one aspect of educating the consumer, so that consumers get in touch with insurance, right? Insurance become a way to sort of manage their risk, and that creates a liberated life, right? A worry-free life. That's one. And the second one, which I think I only have two, right? The second one is about claim that Tanya mentioned about, right? Forget about education. If for example, the claim process takes weeks, when buying insurance takes seconds, then there is no need to educate because the consumers is actually already not happy with that. And I think that's why at Pasarpolis we continue to drive innovation. We continue to work with AFTEC and many other organizations to really drive the right framework so that claims can be paid instantly. And when we see to other countries, UK for example, there is Lemonade and many others, right? Insurance can actually be paid within seconds. How do we build the right framework and regulatory sandbox so that InsurTech can work to pay out the claims, right? And does not need a conventional insurance process, because that is going to not give the right education to consumers when claims take weeks to be paid, right? So I think those are the two areas that I feel about education, is that how do we create product innovations at scale so that you can continuously iterate underwriting, so you continuously find the best product. For example, we worked, at that time, with Credivo, is that how do we create the right framework to build products that are into customer micro moments, and then the claims part. So I think that's there. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. And you bring up so many, again, we're hearing the word partnerships coming up in a really big way. That's something that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask these two gentlemen. But before we talk specifically about partnerships, so keep continuing in the order that we've gone. Maybe Jacko, we can hear from you next.
Well, very interesting. I think in the contrary to the other free speaker, our business in Tongdun is mostly a B2B to C or B2B to B type of arrangement. So my customers who use my technologies are mostly organizations that lend out money, for example, in the fintech business. So I would say still the whole ecosystem, that's three part of the education. First is educating the end consumer who is going to borrow money. And I think I'm going to leave that to the expert like Umang to answer that portions, because our customers is good at doing that. And then the second part is how do we educate the business to better handle the risk, what type of technology they to be using. That actually take quite a bit of time. I am glad that, and I need to praise the regulators on this, OJK has done a great job in putting up sandboxes, asking different type of technology to be open about technology, to use it while monitoring any additional risk and so on. I think I've worked with a lot of regulators around the regions, and I think in Indonesia we do have very, very good regulators, in my point of view. And also, it's interesting. I think FP, FTech, FC, actually help a lot as well, because like how they like promote through all their members, like the different type of technology that they be using, educating them and so on. That's the second part. I would say the third part, when we do a lot of innovation around technology, sometimes I actually spend a lot of time educating the regulators. The reason why is because we really need to like let them know, hey, how these new advanced technology, like for example, privacy computing, like why can I do like data models and scorecards without exchanging data? Why the data is still safe and in privacy? So all these things, like you really need to educate them to make sure they estimate the risk, and then after evaluating, say that, hey, let's bring this new interesting technology to the rest of the financial institution, for example. So I think like I've seen a lot of that, and like that's basically what we've been through.
Brilliant. And again, partnerships, but this time really with that emphasis on educating the regulator. By the way, everything that has been said so far, we've definitely talked about it within the context of Indonesia, but these are comments that, you know, that I hear every day at a global level. These are the biggest issues of the day. It doesn't matter if you're in the Asia Pacific or if you're, you know, sitting here in London, same problems, same issues. So with kind of the capstone on this, you, Umang, you have a number of different customers that are coming from, you know, a variety of cohorts, and certainly a number of them are coming from that more unbanked population. And definitely when I look at the personal loan products and the buy now, pay later products that your platform is offering, that's become a godsend for so many during COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about how you've honed in on those customers, and then what that financial literacy piece needs to look like?
Yeah.
Oh, have we lost
Thanks,
him?
Tanya.
No.
I think financial literacy or financial education is a very important part of our product, because the customer segments that we are really targeting are young urban millennial. For them, Credibo is a lot of them the
Quite interesting, because I think a big component then of the discussion certainly talks about, having a diversified, or skin a number of different ways. But, the word that I've heard a lot here today has also been embedding. So embedded finance, making sure that there's facets of embedding within infrastructure, embedding within certainly the day-to-day lives of those customers. So now I want to talk a little bit about, the dreaded COVID. Obviously, we've now been living 2 years with COVID. I myself had COVID last month, despite having been vaccinated, and it is not fun, and it certainly is impacting everyone's lives. The area, however, that our research has shown is what's remarkable, certainly, is that, the digital financial services space has grown exponentially. In the World Bank and World Economic Forum report that that my university is working on and that I'm authoring with them, one of the most exceptionally interesting findings was not just the speed in which all of these verticals have grown, but certainly, how many more new clients have come to the space. And so I'd like to hear a little bit about, how COVID has affected your business, certainly in, what have been the opportunities, but what have been some of the challenges? How, if at all, have you had to change your product offerings? Have you had to offer, payment holidays or fee reductions? Have you had to think about changes to your onboarding criteria? Kai, I really appreciated the comments that you made around, hacks and attacks, that's become something that that you guys are making sure isn't happening. How has that changed? How are you, as an industry in the whole, and then within your own fintech verticals, thinking about these different things? And again, maybe we'll go from top to bottom. Maybe we'll start in this case with Umang and go back down the way. But, because I'd love to hear, because you all have such different types of businesses, but have all been affected by COVID.
Sure. Yeah, and I think COVID was definitely a once in a generation event and definitely created a lot of volatility.
Really interesting. So maybe we can hear then from Jackal, from your perspective, because obviously, again, you're a little different, right? You're working with the other fintechs, with the other, incumbents, and again, creating that embedded finance opportunity for the traditional space as well. So how did COVID impact you guys? How did that change the way that you've had to operate your business or think about servicing your clients?
Well, there are two portions of our business. I think on the consumer lending portions on our credit score that's related to consumer, we actually have seen an increase in online lending activities, definitely. And then the people who are like first-time lenders, what we call like whitelist or unbanked people entering the market. There's an increase in that as well. So we definitely need to fine-tune our models to fine-tune for a sudden shift of the population that's coming to apply for loans and things like that. So we definitely see that, but that's easily handled by technology, I would say. So I actually see that as an increase in business on that side. But the one that I want to share with everyone on COVID is really our work on MSMEs, on ultra micro SMEs, and how we actually help them. Throughout COVID, actually, we work with a lot of local governments. For example, in that case in China, we work with them to create local profiles for these small SMEs who's at the blink of going bankrupt because their working capital is getting thinner and thinner. And then that is really dangerous, at the really peak time, I'm very lucky to participate in 2-3 projects, and all of them yield very, very good results. We actually have prevented thousands and thousands of organizations from running that wrong curve. And actually the models that we use need a lot of help from governments, and government really jump in to help providing a lot of additional information to create the right credit scoring for the MSMEs, because we know that during COVID, a lot of these companies is worth saving and helping. So coordinating with government, coordinating with the financial institutions, and together with our technology and so on, I think we actually end up helping a lot of companies. And that really made me very proud, because the first day when I created this company, I told a lot of people it's not really about how much money I think I want to make myself. It's really how we can use technologies as lifetime technologies, how we can use this to help the society. And I look at it, it got praised by the state secretary and by the government, federal government. I actually have presented around some of these models, how government
COVID actually is the best chief digital officer for Indonesia, where everything is now moving digitally, and that's why it has created a large demand for all digital related businesses. But I think some of these processes in regards to claim, for example, speed claims that you asked, Tanya, I think is that in the beginning it was not easy, right? Like where it is heavy in terms of, say, claims need to be with signature. That's really, I guess, a very old word, but really things along that line, how we actually work with regulators to then create digital claim. Because it's quite important to make sure that the whole end-to-end journey is done speed, and the speed claims is an important aspect of that. So I think the demand is there in terms of there are more products that can be offered because people's life has gone digital. So the demand is there. Now, how do we continuously build automated I think it's not like through robotic claims, right? And there is a lot of different things that can be done there. And what we are continuously building is that how claims need to be instant and parameterized. So I think now we work with AFTEC, with many, and with the regulator, with OJK, in terms of creating fast claims. And I think now, for example, we have gotten a license inside the sandbox as well, called the Insurance Hub, which is the only one, and we are the only one there. But I think creating that hub to really create a frictionless way to claim, right? And through automation in terms of claim at seconds. And I think that's really also the accelerator of what COVID has shown to all of us, that claims need to be automated. So yeah.
I think that's really important, this idea.
Created, anything that has to do with digitalization. Just look at 2021, the year 2021 itself. Things like DeFi has popped up, things like NFTs has popped up, Metaverse has popped up. A lot of these things has been brought about, I would say, in my opinion, through, although it's unfortunate, but it has been brought about through this entire COVID pandemic. And looking forward, we're now even exploring things like DeFi 2.0, things like decentralized metaverse, things like a lot of new innovations have came up with COVID, and also of course how we can utilize things like NFTs potentially to empower women, to get them to come into the crypto industry, because NFTs in itself is something that is relatable, is visual for people to actually be able to visualize this digital products. Now, moving on to in terms of security, I think at least for Toko Crypto, one of the things that we focus on, but even before that, I would I agree fully with all the stats that you have mentioned. Within Togo Crypto itself, we have seen increases in the number of attempts at hacks, in the number of attempts at DDoS. We have seen a lot of a huge increase of this, and likewise, we have committed large number of resources to make sure that all these attacks, all these attempts are properly dealt with. Now, one thing that we have identified or we have observed to be one of the most important whenever it comes to security, because the company can protect the system of the company as much as it can. But one thing that is very important is to protect customers or to educate customers to make sure that they are equipped with the sufficient security awareness to make sure that they themselves are protected. Because one of the areas where attacks or hacks come by is through users, right? And two-factor authentication as we know it via email, via SMS, I don't know if the rest would agree on this, has come to a state whereby it's getting more easily accessible by hackers, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, in the
Social
things that,
engineering. Exactly that. Yeah.
yeah. So in the things that we do,
I think it's a resounding, we all agree.
being aware of what are the necessary security protocols that they have to observe. Things like not only using email and SMS, but also having, say, physical, maybe like YubiKeys or Google authenticators to level up the security that they have for their own personal accounts, right? Things like making sure that you use email providers that have been that have a rigorous security protocol to prevent against things like phishing emails, and to educate users to also be aware of all of these things. Because at Togo Crypto, we do provide our users with these security tools, things like phishing, things like Google Authenticator. But one of the things that it has always been an ongoing question is between convenience/speed versus security. People want convenience, people want things to be fast, but in doing all that, they sacrifice security. And that has to be something that has to be educated. You know, people are asking questions like, why do I need the KYC? Why do I need to go through the know your customer process? But you know, all of this is to make sure that the industry is well protected, so that we maintain the sustainable growth of industry, not only in crypto but also in insurtech, also in Credigo, in Tonglun. So I think that is something that is we have identified to be a key focus, and we are also spending lots of resources on that.
Yeah, Kai, I appreciate that quite a bit because certainly, you know, this is not a exchanges
fundamentally for if a MSME is looking to employ blockchain technology within the infrastructure, I think one of the key things to understand first is exactly what problem. Is it speed? Is it trust? Is it transparency? What exact problem is the company trying to resolve? Not all blockchain leads to crypto assets. I would say that you could use it to power. My goal and my dream one day is that blockchain technology is powering most of the things that goes on in real life, but people don't realize it. So that's one point that I would like to bring up.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Therefore, create a much wider selection of products and much easier and integrated claims. And I think that's just the industry is evolving that way. So, for example, people that sells mobile phones can have logistic insurance, so that if the phone is broken or during the logistic, etc., they can claim. And the price of the phone is so much so that it really has an impact, and therefore insurance is a good way to manage risk for them. We have products around logistic, and we've seen also great take-up in terms of even products that are related to the SME itself, which is like health or property. The key thing is that how can they create a very frictionless way to buy the insurance and claims and create product relevance to them. Another aspect is around how do consumer protection, in this case for the SME, right? And therefore, I think the role of this organization like AFTEC is really important to select the right players so that it's not just anyone can be selling products, right? And there is not enough due diligence so that all the problems whereby claims are not paid, etc. That's also equally important, so that there are organization that sort of has done the due diligence of the players to make sure that the interest of the SME when for example they insure their stores or their warehouse is covered. So I think that, and also even health of their employees. So I think definitely insurance can be done and really are helpful for SME to make sure that it's a one way to manage the risk when things that are bad happen.
start on the questions. First thing, we don't in Indonesia, we don't karena itu it's regulated by Bapepti as a commodity, so it's not cryptocurrencies in Indonesia. It's aset crypto, so we regarded it as a form of digital asset or a form of crypto asset. Jadi itu pertama, and you know, according to both peraturan dari BI dan juga dari Bapepti, asset crypto is not allowed as alat pembayaran or mode of payment in Indonesia. Masih belum, and for now, you know, it's not allowed. It's only allowed as a form of commodity and as a form of trading. So that's the first portion. Of course, we identify that there is huge potential that this technology, not asset crypto, but blockchain technology has or is able to bring to Indonesia. So in terms of the efforts that we are currently working on, as I was sharing, last Friday, we were invited by the Coordinating Ministry of Maritime and Investment, and we had very fruitful discussions in terms of how we can explore implementing blockchain technology, the technology itself, on closed loop ecosystems first, right? In order to enable not transactions, but enable interactions within the closed loop ecosystem. Now, this has to be under the very close supervision of the regulators, because it's a very new industry, and also because in terms of the positive or negative impacts are yet to be seen. So this is something that we are currently working closely with the regulators in order to come out with a thesis and also a sandbox environment. That is very important. A sandbox environment in which blockchain technology players can come in to trial their solutions in a supervised manner into closed loop ecosystems, so that we can study the real impacts of blockchain technology and what it can bring. And that is already underway, and I'm very happy to say that sangat tenang untuk bisa bilang that, you know, the regulators are very open and are very responsive to this, and you know, we are collaborating very closely. So hopefully this answers your question, Pak.
I think it does. That's a really excellent overview. Of how the asset commodity space is working in Indonesia. I'm just cognizant of time, and I'd like to make sure that we have one question in the chat. We actually have two questions. So we can very briefly respond to these. The first one is for Cleo. So in 30 seconds, what kind of collaboration? What kind of collaborations might you have with other conventional insurance?
Do we create insurance product innovations at scale to make sure that the products are really relevant for digital world? So building digital insurance product for digital world. I think that's important, meaning the end-to-end customer experience has to be digitized and different. Second is around claims. How can we automate claims, making claims to be instant, to be frictionless? I think those are extremely important in terms of going to digital. And I think that those are important aspects to really winning, to make insurance 10 times better in terms of experience, to make insurance that are very simple and seamless, so that insurance becomes, it's like air, it's invisible to customers' digital life and really relevant to their day-to-day life and dreams and what they are working on, what they are doing. So I think that's 30 seconds on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.